In this tutorial, we're looking at how to upload furniture items to the Space virtual world. A furniture item is any object that can be spawned from inventory into a region and saved there. That might be actual furniture items like this sofa. It could be complex scripted items like a game or a presentation tool that someone can put in their region. It could be a component that people use to build out a larger structure in world. For this tutorial, I'm using a sofa. This sofa was actually created by Export to Reality, and we will be handing it all over to him after this demo. I don't make furniture myself, but if you are uploading items that you put in the store, of course, the intellectual property needs to belong to you. So I have a prefab in the editor that I'm going to use as my starting point. This is the mesh, texture and material of the object assembled in Unity. You can see here this artist is using the standard Unity shader, which is good for most objects, but you can upload any shader to the Space virtual world, including custom shaders you script yourself if you want to. To prepare this as a furniture item that is easy for someone to buy, own and use in their regions, firstly, I want to get the alignment of the object pointing in the right way, and I want to ensure that there is a collider covering the whole object so it can be clicked on and zoomed to easily in world. Because some 3D tools have different orientations for up, forward, left and right, I can see this sofa is not currently oriented correctly. The blue arrow on the gizmo here is pointing up in the air, but I want it pointing forward. You can see here in the inspector the object is rotated 90 degrees on the x-axis. If I set this to 0, it rotates the sofa forward. I want it set to 0, but I want the object to be facing the right way. You can handle this in the original mesh file when you import it, but you can also handle it here by childing the object to an empty game object. So I'm going to create an empty game object and call it sofa VG. I'm going to drag the sofa into the game object, but before I do that, I want to check the scale on the original item as well. Here you can see the item scale is 0.1. If I drag it into the parent object with a different scale, when it gets in world, it will be resized. So I'm going to set the scale on my new empty game object to be the same, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. It matches the sofa. I do this before I drag the sofa in. Now I child the sofa to the game object and set its position inside the game object to 0, 0, 0 in relation to its new parent. I can see that its scale is now 1, 1, 1. That's relative to the parent. And although the sofa itself is still rotated 90 degrees with the blue arrow pointing up, the parent object has rotation of 0, 0, 0 with the blue arrow pointing forward. You may not need to do any of this if your original files arrive in Unity with the right scale and rotation, but this shows what you can do just in case. Next, I'm going to add a collider to the parent object. This collider ensures that people can grab the item when it's in the scene, and it also determines how the camera zooms in if the user clicks F in world. If you have your mesh oriented the right way and you don't need the parent object, you just click Add Component, search for Box Collider, and it will automatically size to the mesh of your object. But if you have an empty parent object, as I do, when you add the Box Collider to the parent, you will then need to size and position it manually. You can click this button in the inspector and drag these tiny handles around. They are a bit fiddly, and unfortunately there's no rotate or translate gizmo for colliders in Unity. Or you can slide up and down the size and position in the collider component in the inspector here. Now I have the collider neatly over the sofa. Next, I'm going to add the seats to this item. Of course, you might be uploading a table or a whole game or a wall prefab. It could be an inert object or it could be scripted with all sorts of interactive features. I'm just adding 2 seat components as child elements, adding my poses and positioning them so the users can sit down on the sofa. I add the seat component to child objects so that I can move the poses to exactly the right place in relation to the seat. Now, on the parent object, I'm adding the room furniture component by searching for furniture in the Add Component field on the inspector. Our furniture items automatically align with surfaces if the user toggles Align On in the Edit mode in World, so I can set the item to align and bind to floor, wall or ceiling. As this is a sofa, I set it to align with the floor. That can be overridden and the object can be placed anywhere just by toggling Align Off in World. I need the collider to be referenced in the main collider field here. So I drag the parent object into this field and it picks up the collider automatically. If you have multiple colliders attached, you might need to grab the specific collider on the parent that is for users to grab and zoom the object. I can disable scaling so the item cannot be resized by the user, but I have no reason to impose that on my customers with this sofa. If they want to change the size, they can. So I tick to enable. That's it. Now I just need to add the virtual goods script to the parent object, fill it in, remembering to set the type as furniture, and to choose where to put it in the store. Remember, if the submit button is grayed out, it's because you're still looking at the copy in your scene. You need to drag your finished work from the scene to be a prefab in a folder in your project. Then you can submit from the version in the project folder. If you already have a prefab in your project, you can click Apply in the inspector to push all the changes you've made to the instance in your scene onto the prefab in the project before you upload it. Now customers can buy this item, put it in their scene, and save the scene with the item available for them and their friends to use. It's worth noting the permissions system in Space. All items in Space are copyable by the owner, so when you sell a sofa to a customer, price it on the basis that they are probably only going to buy one from you. Objects are also transferable. If I buy this sofa and I want to send it to someone else, I can do, usually by adding it as an attachment in the in-world email system. But when a customer transfers an item they have bought, they will no longer have any of their copies. When a customer transfers an item, they transfer the parent copy in their inventory, and the instances they have laid out will be gone. If you are the creator of the object and you have uploaded it from Unity to your account, as I'm doing here, it will automatically exist in your own inventory and you can personally give out as many copies as you want. It's up to you on a per item basis whether that item appears in the store. You can tick the Not for Sale button in the virtual goods script to keep it out of the store and only have it in your inventory. When you have uploaded it, you can see there is an item ID. You can use that in scripting and in things like the quest system to give the item away as a reward. You can put the item into vending machines for specific objects or for brands you create. See our vending machine tutorials for details on that. Also, as a final note, the copy here in your project is like a master copy for you. If you want to do updates to a product, you can drag it back into the scene, make your changes, apply changes to the prefab, hit submit, and all your customers will be updated automatically. In the next tutorial, I'll be looking at how to use snap nodes on furniture items so you can sell components other users can use for in-world building, like a dungeon pack or a racetrack.